Hey y'all, how's it going? My name is Peanut, and welcome back to Satisfactory. Almost fell in the water. I have just like these 4 rows to do, and I'm done with this strip, which I was considering smelting at the locations of the ores and then putting them on trains and bringing them here, but I might not do that. So I went ahead and finished this because it is either going to be my smelting area of the factory, or it's going to be sort of like where all of the trains, like the trains are gonna come in here, and then like the sorting is all gonna happen like over there. Because the idea is that each sort of cluster of ores is going to have... There are different clusters. It's hard to show on the map because I didn't, like, label any clusters of ores. Except for, like, I think here. There's 3 sulfur there. So it's like, in this area. I would probably put, like, the quartz, the sulfur, and maybe even the nitrogen on the same train. And like, so they would all come and sort of like, maybe converge at the quartz. I could maybe even use this sulfur too, and they'd converge here, and then train all the way over here. That's the idea. This is an ambitious project. It's going to take a very long time. But we're gonna start today with getting some iron over here. And really just sort of figuring out the whole train situation. Hopefully figuring out the whole train situation. So I think I said earlier that I wanted to do iron first in my giant factory, but I think I'm actually going to do limestone first, because it will be a lot easier to do all of this zooping when I have limestone nearby that I can just like run over and grab a ton of stacks of. And it'll also give me a good opportunity to figure out the whole train situation. So our first order of business in this endeavor is to scan for limestone. I think that there's a node like over here somewhere. Yeah. See, I don't think that I really need to train this one, because it's right here. It's also normal. So, I don't know. Actually, another slight change of plans. I think my actual first order of business is to make this into a ramp that goes over these loopy dealies. Well, I don't really see any reason that this couldn't be, like, a quick pickup station that then takes the rest of whatever it's got down here. And it could be a train that's maybe coming from that direction, because there's not... I don't think there's much of the map this direction. I don't know. I haven't really explored that way. We're probably going to end up doing that a little bit in the course of this endeavor, at least for this first episode that we're working on, the big thing. And I want to start with some nodes that are a little further away. So let's go ahead and put a miner on this one. So I think when you put a miner on it, it's got the check mark. Okay, and now we'll scan for more limestone. Okay, see, it has the check mark there. That's the one up there that I've already tapped. What about this one? This is a limestone node right here. It's pure. The idea is to take this limestone on the shortest straight path from where it is to this sort of central hub area where all of my trains are going to come in and then turn to go straight so that they can go down into the factory. I think for this node here, the idea is probably just to make it go out straight that way. So I can foundation it up. Oh, I need to blow up some trees. Goodbye, wildlife. You are of no use to me. I don't have space to pick up leaves. That's unfortunate. I guess that means that we're doing this to the leaves as well. Goodbye! These are so much bigger when they're not on a massive expanse of foundation. Okay, I've made another little change in plan of how I'm going to approach creating this giant mega factory. And that change is that I'm actually going to start with building the actual factory part. I feel like that's going to make this process a whole lot easier instead of having to, like, get the resources here and then figure out everything over here. I will set up all of the stuff I need, and then, I mean, if I set it up correctly, then I will be able to train the resources in here and it'll automatically, like, get up and running. So that is the new idea, and that, I believe, is the idea that I will be sticking with. But first, I'm gonna have to set up the sort of sorting area for each of the resources. Like, each of the raw resources that are gonna be coming in. I think choosing where it's going to be is going to be the hardest part, because I know that the trains are going to come in here. And then they're going to have to go to stations to unload, which is going to take up a decent amount of space. And I have absolutely no earthly idea how many trains I'm going to have, how many cars each of those trains is going to have, because it's going to depend on how many resources are in the area that that train is servicing. Unless I just want to have one train per ore node, which I feel like would be too much. Like, way too much. Let's pull out the train station deal. Train station. So the trains need to be able to turn into these. So I'm thinking that this 3 foundation thing here is going to be my, like, train highway. And they're all going to come in here and then turn in towards this direction. I think a rail needs 4 whole foundations to turn correctly. So, it's not going to be... Alright, hold on. I'm gonna have to, like, make a bunch of ladders all over the place so that I will be able to do the things that I want to do with the whole planning situation. Okay, train station. Like, right. Needs to be, like, as far away as possible, though. Just in case, because I might have trains that have, like, 5 cars worth of resources that they're coming to unload, and so I would need a train station and 5... freight platforms. Which is really long. That's very long. Hopefully I don't have trains that need that many. Let's see. Hold on. These episodes of me working on this mega factory are probably going to be a lot of me saying, wait, hold on, and then going to, like, check something. This has... What are these? Okay. So there's 2 inputs and 2 outputs on each freight platform. And it holds... Seems like an industrial... storage containers worth of items? Yeah. That's an industrial storage container's worth of items. So each of these holds one industrial storage container worth of items, and it has 2 inputs. So, if I want to have, like, 1 input per resource, and then I could limit myself to 3 freight platforms, and that would be 6, I could do 6 nodes per train, which I think is a lot more reasonable than just doing 1 node per train. But I do still have to nudge this back a little bit so that I can have an empty platform space for the other end of the locomotive that's going to have to go on the other side of that. Oh, I unfortunately cannot place the freight platform without the train platform, but what I can do is lock the hologram. There. Yeah, okay. These are 2 foundations big. The empty platforms are probably also 2 foundations big, so I need to go back like that. So that would be my first freight platform. There's a max nudge distance? That's so dumb. Okay. So this would be an empty platform. 1, 2, 3 freight platforms, which means my train station should go here. Ish. Okay. Train station. Freight platform. Freight platform. Freight platform. Empty platform. And that is still too close, because I can't, like, I would have to, my railway to be straight would have to be, like, here? And then it can be straight. So it takes 3 foundations for a full turn. So if I want this, the railway for this platform to turn to here, then I need to back it up another 3 foundations. It's okay, this is why we're using a ludicrous amount of space. Okay, that is my first freight platform setup, which is interesting. I'm really hoping that I have this set up the right way so that it will actually work when I am ready. Because I really don't want to have to rebuild this whole setup, but I hope that I understand how trains work enough that I won't have to do that. Alright everyone, this is Factory Station 1. So the idea here is to bring in 3 nodes, or 6 nodes worth of resources at a time. And then we'll output them from these things here. And then they're going to be sorted based on what I know will be coming in on this train. Ooh. But we have a problem now. Because this input area can only probably actually hold maybe 4 railways? Like, if I'm lucky. So what I might need to do is have a junction up there where I have more space than just the lines that are going to be coming between the rock formations. I might have to do something like that. Or just make sure that the trains are deliberately offset so that they're not all here at the same time, and then once they get up the ramp, like, they'll come down the ramp and go into the station, and once they get up the ramp, they'll split off onto a track that just goes to that train's specified zone. That should be, that can be a way to do it. That can be a better way to do it. So if that's the way that I'm gonna do it, I only really have to set up 3 stations here. Which is an interesting position to be in, because I imagining this being aligned with different stations, but that's really not going to work with how I am having this set up. So yeah, we're going to do the... Why do I keep accidentally pinging? We're going to make 2 more of these, I guess, since that's kind of decided. And leave ample space in between for stuff. Oh, this guy's up here again. There's a guy up here that causes me trouble from time to time. All I have to do is sick the bombs on him when he actually notices that I'm here. You know what? He's not bothering me. I'll leave him alone for now. I will not harm the wildlife just this once. Okay, well, now that I have done these other 2 railways, I want to fix this first one. Because they're all, like, right angles into the middle of their foundation, and this one is not, which makes me sad. That is much better. Definitely a little bit weirder of a curve, though. It might be because both of these other curves are, like, perfectly ending on a straight line. Like, either the straight line on the foundation or the straight line on the middle of the foundation, but this one, the curve is ending, like, a little bit inward. Yeah, no, I'm gonna fix it. I'm gonna fix it. Okay, it's interesting. It's not, like, straightening out. That's a little weird. Does it need to be longer instead of shorter? Oh, yeah, there we go. It did have to be longer instead of shorter. Interesting. Weird that that worked that way. Well, regardless, we now have 3 perfectly inline railways with 3 nice right-angled things. So we can start working on other stuff. That took me altogether way too long to figure out. Alright, Meat Factory Stations 1, 2, and 3. We're gonna figure out some item sorting weirdness on this other side of these stations for all of the raw resources that are gonna come into the factory. Because I have decided that instead of processing, like, smelting ores and stuff at the location, I'm just gonna bring the raw resources here and then deal with everything here. Because it just makes everything a lot easier. That way, the only, like, portion of the supply line that I have to worry about being in other locations is just the conveyor belt bringing the raw resource to the train station. And there might be some resources where I need to bring raw resources here and processed resources here, so if I don't process them, then I can just send the unprocessed things where the unprocessed things need to go, and then process the ones that need to be processed. This is a lot of mumbo-jumbo, but in the end, I feel like it will... I'll figure it out. So, as of right now, there are 10 raw resources in the game that are not fluids, if I'm not mistaken. There is iron, copper, limestone, quartz, sulfur, coal, caterium, bauxite, uranium, and SAM. Now, I don't think that I'm going to be training SAM to my factory. And that is because the only thing that SAM is used for is to make, let's see, reanimated SAM and SAM fluctuators. I am reasonably certain that those are the only things that SAM is used for, at least right now. I know that I think reanimated SAM can be used later to, like, convert raw resources into other raw resources, which I might want to do at some point for logistical reasons. But I think that that's, like, really in-game stuff, so I'm not gonna worry about that in what I'm doing right now. So any SAM ore nodes are just gonna have SAM being turned into reanimated SAM on the site and then stored, or probably just put into the depot, so that I can turn the reanimated SAM into fluctuators whenever I need fluctuators for something, which isn't probably going to be very often. Another weird thing is steel, because I'm gonna have to work out how much iron I'm going to be sending to making iron resources and how much iron I'm going to dedicate to steel production in this big factory. But that is going to be a problem for future Peanut, because current Peanut just wants to make an industrial storage container for each raw resource that I'm going to be processing at this factory, because like I said, I will not be processing SAM at this factory. I will also not be processing uranium at this factory, because that would probably end up being a problem. So uranium is going to be a thing that's going to be processed in a different location. Probably somewhere in the Red Desert, mainly because I was watching a world tour, like, a couple months ago, and I saw a world that had a really cool uranium factory in the Red Desert, and, like, had it walled off like it was a high radiation zone, like, oh, this is a dangerous area, and I'm like, that's a really cool concept, and I maybe want to, like, steal that idea and do it. I don't remember who the person was that made that map, but I know that the video I watched the tour of was, Solar Eclipse or something. I'll link the tour video in the description or in the cards up in the corner, so that y'all can go check that out to see the idea that, I got, and know that I'm not stealing it without credit. I just forgot the name of the person, at the moment that I am currently recording this. I think I'm gonna end up taking all the resources out of the trains this way, and then sort of turning them this way into raw resource storage. And I'm gonna have to figure out a way to hopefully not have it back up. And I think it might just have to be something that I just build it and pray that it doesn't back up, or fix it manually whenever it backs up. Or I could have overflow get sent to... Oh, that's not gonna work. I was thinking I could have overflow sent to an awesome sink for the raw resources, but I don't think that that's gonna work. But hopefully, if I'm sending my overflow of everything that's being created in the factory, if I'm sending that overflow to an awesome sink, then it should never back up so much that it is unusable. I also might be able to route trains with a large amount of a specific resource into a specific station for sorting in that area. Oh, this is so confusing. This is gonna make so much more sense when things are, like, actually here and working. But right now, it's like when you're trying to write something and you look at or draw something and you look at a blank sheet of paper, it's like that's sort of the process going on in my head right now. I'm like, where do I start? It's like, I know where to start, but, like, how do I start doing the thing I want to start doing? Okay. So I know how to start. It didn't take long for me to know how to start. We are going to start with industrial storage containers. I need 8 of them. So we're going to go from, like, here. Doesn't really matter where. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Beautiful. Perfect. Now, smart splitters. Which I have a bar for, so I don't know why I filtered through the regular build menu. We're gonna have this go like that, I believe. And then the rest of these are also going to flow that sort of same direction. I really kind of wish that there was a smart splitter that had, like, 2 output sides and 2 input sides, like, in diagonals, because that would make this a lot easier. Okay, so I built that whole smart splitter array, and then I deleted it because I was like, I didn't think that it was gonna work the way that I want it to work. So I might have to just sit here and think for like a couple minutes. Okay, well, I just rebuilt the entire thing that I just tore down because I was like, there's not really any way that I'm gonna be able to make this array that's not this. At least at my current level of intelligence. So I believe that this is the input. Yes, input is here. I really would have loved if I could have an input here and an input here, and then have outputs on the other 2 corners, because that would just make this super much easier, because I could have the, like, the inputs from the trains coming into here, and then the input, I want the output from the end of this one on this side to be able to go all the way around here, and link back up here so that if anything gets sort of like lost in translation, it can come back around and hopefully get filtered in. And I'm hoping that that would fix some possible clogging issues. If I just have, like, the sorted items go this way and then everything else go that way, and it'll just loop and loop and loop until eventually it sorts into the correct thing. The problem being that I will need to take outputs from this side to send the resources to the places in the factory where they need to go. But that's easy with the industrial storage containers because it has an output on top and an output on bottom. And the output on top will be good because I will just be taking everything up to a little, like, logistics floor. And then the loop conveyor can just come around in the bottom and not be affected by anything that's coming out of these containers from the top. Now, the only way that I can see to get my loop idea to work is to have this happen. May have the merger going in there, this one going in here, and then the loop go around and then come back in there. And then the one of the outputs from the train lines would come here. The idea with the train lines is to have each of these things merge. So these 2 will merge, these 2 will merge, these 2 will merge. And then those will all merge somewhere over here. And then that will go out and into this. Probably not into a merger, because that's gonna not go fast enough. This is fast. It is, the Mark IV belts are very fast, but it's not gonna be fast enough for the volume of resources that's gonna come out of these train stations. Oh, hold on. I just had a much better idea than this, and it's gonna take a little bit to set up. You know what? I'm gonna leave this here, and then I'm gonna do my other idea, and if that doesn't work, I'll still have this here, and I don't have to rebuild it. Capiche? Caposh. Let's go. Okay, I haven't even finished this, but I'm thinking it probably is going to work because it's gonna very easily deal with the volume problem. So, easy enough, I just built an individual set of storage containers for each station. Now, I know that each station's probably not going to have the same volume of each resource coming into it every time, but it's going to prevent me from having to merge everything from each station into one storage container for, like, that individual resource. So it'll help a lot with that, and I don't know yet if I want to have each storage container run, like, each of these sets of storage containers run into another set of storage containers that's just one container for each resource, and then have those output to the different parts of the factory. I think I'm not going to do that, because it's not super hard to manage 3 conveyor belts, and I'll be able to get more bang for my buck, if you will, with having the 3 conveyor belts of resources instead of just one going into the actual factory proper. Is anyone else slightly bothered by the fact that the Mark IV conveyor belts are, like, slightly too big for the openings in the mergers? Like, that clips. And then up there, that clips. And it's a little off-putting. I might have to cover it up with, like, decoration stuff later to make that not look so weird. But I am working on the, getting this to go into this, basically, like, hooking up these 2 systems together. I thought that I started on the farthest one, but I didn't. And I ended up dismantling the storage system I had set up over here, which I did not fix these 2 foundations, because I needed AI limiters, but I am gonna have to go and build more AI limiters anyway, because I do not even have enough for, for 1 more full stretch of these smart splitters, let alone 2 more. But I do want to figure out this whole conveyor merger situation here before I move on. Okay, I've sort of figured this part out. So, I've got this sort of weird merger set up where I have the top one going into a lift to go down into the merger, and then this side is going into the merger, and then it's going, and all 3 of those are doing that and going into one. I'm probably gonna end up changing this later, because I feel like this could be more efficient if I just had... No, that's a bad idea. That's a bad, stupid idea. I was gonna say it could be more efficient if I had, like, 1 storage container smart splitter array for each of the 2, for each pair of outputs from the freight platforms, but I feel like that's just gonna end up being an, like, unnecessary thing to do. Ah, he's shooting at me! Oh, come on. See, now he's bothering me. He wasn't bothering me earlier, but now he is. So I must kill him. And by the way, that ghost poison cloud is still there. Ah. I don't have enough quick wire. I need 1 more AI limiter to be able to make the full thing, so I guess I have to make a run to my quick wire factory. Since I'm going this way anyway, I wanted to pick up some crystals to make signs with, because I want to label all of the things. All the storage containers. I made all my AI limiters, but I'm not gonna subject y'all to watching me build, a thing that I've already shown you that I built, 2 more times. So, I want to go through my... close. I want to go through my hard drive library and look at stuff that I want to grab. I know I want cast screws, so we're gonna go ahead and grab that. Because that's, like... that just makes screws so much easier. And that will be the recipe that I use for screws. In the Mega Factory. I believe, yes. This coke steel ingot was something that I really wanted. Because that will mean that all of my coal can go into power and fuel resources. Instead of having to go into steel. So I know that I want that. 15 iron ore and 15 petroleum coke. And that gives me a good use for petroleum coke so that I don't just have it doing nothing, basically. Well, I just emptied a little bit out, but the petroleum coke was backed up in this storage container. And I mean, I guess I could put it in an awesome sink, but But my petroleum coke was backed up in the storage containers, so this was backed up on heavy oil residue, and it wasn't making any more rubber, which I know that I'm gonna need. So I know that I want the coke steel ingot, wherever that went, here. So I'm going to go ahead and select that. Because I'm going to start using these soon. So there's not much of a reason to keep sitting on the ones that I know that I'm going to want to use in, like, before I go on an adventure to get more hard drives. Recycled rubber is another one that I was looking really closely at because I can use plastic to make rubber. I explained this in a previous episode. This means that I can use plastic to make rubber so that I don't have to have my oil go into making two separate resources. I can dedicate all of my oil to making plastic, and then I can use like half of the plastic output to turn into rubber. So I do want that, but I am gonna sit on it because I'm not gonna get to that for another couple episodes, and I might go on an adventure for hard drives before I have need of unlocking that. Now this one, I'm not gonna really have a need for diluted packaged fuel, but it's a question of, are the inventory slots so coveted right now that I need to unlock this? And the answer is no, so I'm gonna sit on this one too. There are just like a couple little things I want to do before I end off the episode. First is Explorer. I'm basically just gonna use this Explorer to get around my giant flat factory area. While I don't have, like, hypertubes and stuff installed. Ah! Well, that's unfortunate. I got where I wanted to be here. But, yeah, this is gonna be my tool to get around my factory. So, it's basically just gonna sit wherever I'm working, and then when I need to go somewhere, I can hop in it, and I can go somewhere. And I probably am going to end up putting one extra foundation on this, basically just right here along this side, because there's enough space for it. And it'll give me a place to have my Explorer go when I'm wanting to go back toward the train junction area. Wheelie! Oh dear! I love how janky this thing is. It'll automatically go back to standing if it flips over. That's so great. I want to put signs above these to label what resources they're going to be. Probably pretty obvious. I'm just gonna go, like, down the list of how you unlock them, basically. So, it's gonna be, like, iron, copper, limestone. I made a list. My full list is gonna go down the list. Except that I'm probably not going to have to use coal in my factory. Because of the petroleum coke situation, I'm probably not gonna have to bring coal to my factory anymore, possibly. Well, but I should be making the turbo fuel at my factory, so I am gonna need coal, because I'm gonna have to use some coal to turn into compacted coal. Unless I can find an alternate recipe for compacted coal that uses petroleum coke instead of coal as well. But I'm not gonna bank on that, so I'm gonna keep the storage container for coal. But I think I'm gonna change my order so that the storage container for coal is at the very end. Just in case. Because if it's at the very end, it'll be a lot easier to take it out than if it's, like, in the middle. So, I'm gonna label these. I'll probably just do that. I'll do one right now, and then I'll do the rest of them off camera. Because I want to use... Do I want to use the square sign? I don't know. Do I want to use the square sign or the label sign? I think I want to use the square sign. I think it just makes more sense. Because I can just put a picture of what the resource is on it. And then I don't have to worry about, like, text or anything. So this one is gonna be iron. Raw iron. Select, and then we are going to do Purple. Boom. Good. Exactly what I want. Purple with iron ore on it. Beautiful. So I'm gonna go down the line. I'm gonna do that. Make these all the resource they're supposed to be. The storage containers are all labeled. And with that, that's going to be the end of the episode. I hope that y'all enjoyed. Have a fantastic day. And bye. I was hoping to flip over there and it didn't happen. Dang it.